recording. Have at it.
Going to run through the other half of the league, not the division, of course, since we did have that screwed up last night. Adam and I were just talking. Instead of running through the actual division, we're going to start with Ryan and Heck Dogs and finish out our division that we did yesterday with Dan and Dave in it. So we'll start with them two, and then we'll go to the waiver wire horse. So we're going to
the real waiver wire horse.
The real waiver wire horse, right? I think that's what we were in last night. It was showing.
All right.
So this works out because he's going to lead off with his rivalry and Ryan week 1 matchup, and then I'll get Heck Dogs, who's my rivalry.
So, and then we'll do the other 4 teams.
Yeah.
That we didn't do yesterday. So Ryan, number 2 overall pick, and went with Zeke, which before the draft we talked about that I wasn't mad at his pick. You know, at the 3 spot I had gotten Zeke in other drafts. So I think obviously nothing wrong with that pick. Then his second round, as anybody who was at Adams knows, I fucked up and took Allen Robinson, and he snatched Adam Thielen, who I really wanted. So for that reason, that's a terrible pick. Let's see. I think then he came back with Mike Evans, Keenan Allen. So went wide receiver heavy, 2, 3, and 4.
His keeper was
Devin Singletary in the 6th. And I really like Allen. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him because Phillip Rivers isn't there anymore. Mike Evans, I had him 1 year and he burned me, and he's just like one of those guys I'll never take again no matter what. But I also do think he is super, super touchdown dependent this year. I still don't see Tom Brady just going back to his
too many mouths to feed, if you ask me.
Yeah, his mid-20s form where he's just slanging all over the place. I mean, he has a lot of good receivers, like we've said. I mean, I think we covered it yesterday, but I mean, I think Mike Evans, if he doesn't catch a touchdown, I think you're going to be hurting for your number 2 receiver, or your third-round receiver.
I like him in a 2-hole like that. If he's his wide receiver 1, I mean, hell, I'd take him on my team where mine shook out. But if you look at last year, I mean, it's a whole new year, but he had those week-winning where he went for 30, 40 points, but then other than that, he was really bad.
He disappears.
Right.
Where Thielen's going to be, I think, very consistent.
But see, Thielen, I understand you wanting him over A-Rob, but if you look at last year, he's another one that got off to a hot start, and then he disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, towards the end of the year, he had a couple games he did nothing.
There's not many
There's not many, but and then still Diggs is gone there. They have the rookie Jefferson. I mean, he's still established. He still has a relationship. I still think Kirk Cousins is going to look his way more often than not.
So, regardless of the player there, if Ryan wanted him or not, after you being so mad, he was taking him. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest, he was getting him no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, and who did he pass up on the next pick was Jonathan Taylor and A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
You know, I like Thielen there more than them.
See, I'm a big believer in A.J. Brown, but
talent, yes, but
wrong with Thielen.
His use scares me.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're going to get the usage out of Thielen that you may not get out of Brown, but the upside's there with Brown. But, I mean, you spoke last night. You like the safer picks early on in the draft, so there you go.
So, that's my piece. Quarterback, Matt Ryan with the 5th pick as they start flying off the board.
I think Ryan's had him every year that I've played fantasy football.
And they are just a throwing offense. I mean, his numbers are there. They support it. A lot of times it's a later quarterback taken, but, in most recent years, but he's very serviceable as your starting quarterback week in and week out. You don't really have to worry about – he doesn't have bad weeks for the most part.
He's not going to kill you. And we're seeing, as we run down through this list, a lot of us went quarterback early. So Matt Ryan being there on his team in the 5th isn't surprising because of the way a lot of us drafted.
Yeah.
Especially with 3 of them off the board and keepers. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, arguably the two best.
I I
Not
don't
even
think
arguably.
yeah, I
I'll
don't
take
think
that
it's
back.
right,
Yeah, the two
exactly.
best were gone, so
Yeah.
you had
And I mean,
2 more to
arguably the top 3, if you ask me. I mean, that's where they finished
oh,
last.
because Dak was 7.
Yeah. And
Alright.
Keenan Allen, as you know, he got paid. That's big. Chase the money. He got paid.
Right, and because that came out even what, today, yesterday?
Yeah, I think it was
Whatever it
yesterday.
was. So, I mean, so he's still a big part of their plan, so
Yeah.
it's not like he should see a drop in targets. So I like him a lot too. I like Thielen and Allen, and I see the jump potentially on Evans, but
Right.
everybody thinks Tampa Bay's offense is going to be awesome. We'll see. Devin Singletary, I mean, it was his keeper. The value I think is still there in the 6th round, not by much. Like I don't think he's even in consideration for a keeper for next year. So anybody else he takes later has potential keeper ability. I mean,
I
would you
agree.
take Singletary in the 4th next year
Well, I
potentially?
mean, speaking today, no, but we
Yeah,
don't know. But especially
but
because
was
they
Zach
love
Moss
it.
there
Yeah.
too?
And there's already rumblings that he may lose that job because they're really pissed at his fumbling.
Yeah,
I mean, Singletary he's a high motor. He's got, I mean, high upside, but he hasn't put it together I don't know how he finished the season last year. I know wasn't bad, but they're already talking about they don't like his hands. He drops the ball too much.
all right. So yeah, I mean, I still think he's probably a decent play early in the year.
Yeah, I think he's a
He might not
RB
be the starter by halfway, but I still
fringe
think
RB2, if you ask me.
you're
That
getting games out of him,
yeah,
which I mean, he is his RB2. He has Zeke and then him, so
yeah,
fine. Hunter Henry, same kind of thing with Keenan Allen. You don't know how he's going to be in a non-Philip Rivers offense. I mean, everybody liked Philip Rivers tight end because Philip Rivers had Antonio Gates forever, so they just say, "Oh, he likes throwing to the tight end." I mean, Hunter Henry has had a very injury-plagued career so far.
the injuries
So,
have derailed his seasons so far. I mean, he
I mean,
has so much potential, but he
right,
can't get on the field.
but
And
none of
now
it's come
you
to
got
fruition.
and now you got two pass catchers in an offense that Tyrod usually doesn't support more than one. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's my only hiccup there, but it is the tight end position. I mean,
I mean, because this is what Tyrod's 4th team now, right?
um,
Ravens, which he never really played on.
Buffalo,
Then he went to Buffalo, or no, he went to
Cleveland last
Cleveland then
year.
Buffalo.
Well, I think he was at Buffalo, then Cleveland last year, wasn't he? Or no, Cleveland was 2 years ago when Baker took the job.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a very serviceable quarterback in the NFL because of his running ability. But then at the same time, it's just
I think
I,
he's perfect for what he's brought in to do, hold the
which
position
is
down
to
until
be. He's
Herbert's
a
ready.
bridge. He's a bridge
Right.
player to. Hey, we got to find a real quarterback. So you'll do in the meantime.
Exactly. We're saying the same thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, I think the problem is he's potentially asking to. I mean, he at where he took his tight end
You
7. I mean,
can't get that.
you're not getting week in and week out scoring out of that tight end position in this
And
league.
to not take too long on the teams today, but to go back to Keenan Allen, how long, if they go to Justin Herbert in week 8, where do you think that value goes? Much like my situation with if Tua comes in, I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
With
I mean,
it's just
I would
that
say it
unknown.
goes up. I would say it goes up honestly because if they go to him, they're not going to him because they think they have Super Bowl potential. They're going to him to say, "Hey, go. Let's see
Go
what you
take the
got now."
risks. Yeah.
So it's going to be he's not going to be playing for much is in the way of like he can't do too much worse than what they're doing potentially if he depending upon when that happens.
Here's
So
one thing that I'm gonna throw out looking at the rounds. We're spending some time on Hunter Henry. He took
yeah,
him in the 7th, and Rashid came back in the 7th and took Evan Ingram. I'm taking Evan Ingram there. I know he's always injured too, but
yeah.
I like Ingram in that situation much, much higher than Hunter Henry, personally.
I mean, I would say the difference being, I mean, I guess they still have Mike Williams, but for
No, he's out.
I don't think so.
On for the year, dude. Yeah.
What?
Yep.
All right, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. I'll figure it out later. But I thought they actually said he was going to play. That's
He's
what,
he,
yeah.
he's
So then whatever it was, I missed it. Um, yeah. So we'll see with that. I mean, I just don't like that he has two guys on the same team with question marks. Keenan Allen, I'm fine with. Hunter Henry, there's just still a big question mark. Potential's there, but not with that quarterback, and that's what scares me about him.
Yeah.
So whatever. Philip Lindsay, I mean, when did Melvin Gordon go?
There.
Huh? No, win. He
Oh,
went in the third round.
in round 3.
So, I mean, I'm kind of surprised for
If you could have
that Melvin went that high, because I think it's going to be a split backfield.
If you could have Melvin in the 3rd or Lindsay in the 8th,
Lindsay in the 8th.
a no-brainer, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean,
he's ran that offense for a couple years now very well. It's a new team for Melvin. I'm taking that pick all. I like the value there.
Yeah, I like the value. It's again just one of those things where it's like a 1A, 1B potentially. If anybody runs away with it, I will say it's probably Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, they brought in what's his name a couple years ago, and they thought the same thing, that he was going to be.
Is that Royce Freeman?
Yeah, Royce Freeman was a 3rd round pick, I think, from that. They're like, he's going to run with it. And Philip Lindsay just keeps outplaying these dudes, and he's a good.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, I was going to say, like, well, yeah, who was his quarterback? Doesn't Philip Lindsay had the same one? So what's it matter?
Yeah.
Because their quarterback play since Peyton Manning's last year has been terrible. I mean, it's been like 4 or 5 years.
You can include that too. They won the Super Bowl.
No, I'm talking about his last year too.
Yeah, okay.
He was terrible that year, and they haven't had.
He got benched for that bum and then brought back in.
Not Schaub, the tall guy.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The Cowboys wanted him. Thank God they didn't get him.
Yeah, he went to like 4 or 5 teams after that. Like, I don't know why. All right, Breida. I have no clue. I know Jordan Howard's in Miami too. I know Breida's there. I personally have not paid any attention to any running back, so I can't say much about Miami's backfield.
I think Breida's more talented than Jordan Howard at this stage in their careers, but I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, of all the people, this is like the first. I'm just like, you tell me Miami running back, and I'm like, pass right now.
I mean, their offensive line was dreadful, but they spent a lot of draft capital, and I think they brought some people in, free agents maybe too. They're trying to work on that line for Tua whenever he takes over.
So, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I can't say that's a good pick, bad pick. I don't know if it's going to be Jordan Howard or him or how that's going to shake out. All I know is I really just didn't want a piece of it. Curtis Samuel. Yeah, okay. They got DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel there now. I think DJ Moore is probably the one there. Curtis Samuel can be a field stretcher, so can Robbie Anderson. I don't know how it's going to shake out between those two, Robbie Anderson and him. So
there was a lot of tape on him last year where he was running just wide open. Like, he's a good route runner, and Kyle or whoever it was just couldn't hit him. So I mean, Bridgewater is an accurate quarterback, I think, at least. Yeah. So he's got some potential there in the 10.
I'm just curious if at this point, again, you're kind of filling out your roster, taking some shots. So, I mean, do you think that him and Robbie Anderson are just relatively finished with a similar stat line, or do you think do you think one of them is going to emerge as the number 2, and are they going to put somebody else in the slot?
Yeah, I don't know. If I'm trying to come up with a tiebreaker there, I think I just go with the guy that's been in the offense. So I probably would have leaned the same way. I would probably have Samuel higher on my board than Anderson for sure. I don't think Anderson is draftable right now, but if an injury happens to one of those players that we mentioned, then, pick him up, take a shot. But
he's in there. So Chicago defense, I mean, I guess the one piece I just lean back to is they have Khalil Mack, so that's pretty cool.
Good pair of safeties. I mean, I don't know.
I think they have young linebackers too. I mean, they weren't bad last year. In general, what made them bad was how bad their offense was, unfortunately. So
Trubisky.
They were on the field a lot. So, but in this kind of defense, I mean, you kind of want them on the field to some degree. You just don't want to give up points. You want to give them the opportunity to create takeaways, sacks, everything else.
Right.
Darrell Henderson could be he has some value there. I mean, just as much value potentially as Cam Akers in the 5th round. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just been – you don't know what's shaking with their backfield. I mean, right now I think supposedly what I heard is Malcolm Brown is supposed to be the starter week 1. That
Yeah, I
Cam just
think of
hasn't done enough to take the
3,
job from him. But
of the 3, Malcolm Brown is the least likely to run away with it.
I agree.
Darrell Henderson needs to stay healthy, and we need to see just how talented it is. I mean, all signs are pointing to Cam should take it, but that's just a backfield that their offensive line, I keep going back to it, it's really bad.
Yeah.
But somebody is probably going to – I mean, I would assume McVay wants one bell cow, but maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't mind it in the 12th round taking it, taking that honor on them.
Yeah, taking the flyer, and I mean, Cam can't get healthy with whatever his deal is. I mean, then he has a good role in that offense, so I'm fine.
Right.
Fine with the dart. Tony Pollard shoring up Zeke, his number 1 overall pick, fine. Jake Elliott, and then Ben Roethlisberger. I can't tell you how many years when I've drafted quarterbacks that I end up – this is other leagues, but Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger. For some reason, I can take 2 quarterbacks late. Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger are always there, and for the most part, between the 2 of them, you should be able to put solid weeks together throughout a season. I mean, the only thing about his lineup now, I don't know who he has starting. He does have Matt Ryan starting, but I would actually potentially argue to start Ben this week, particularly because he plays the Giants, whereas Matt Ryan's playing Seattle.
Yeah.
Not that I think – and it's at Seattle.
Yeah. Sure, we can speak on it. I don't really care about starts now.
Yeah, the starts I'm not really digging into it. I happen to know because I do think I have that stack in another league. So that's why I've looked at those lineups.
Like looking at it, the one thing that I would have probably done is the same thing I mentioned that I thought Ricky would do is prioritize Zach Moss. And maybe, you know what I mean? Like,
but I don't think he can have 2 handcuffs on his team.
Well, yeah, but here's Tony Pollard is there as
okay. He's the handcuff. Zach Moss is for when he takes it over.
That's what I'm saying. And there's already rumblings that he may just snatch the job. Pollard's going to play. He's got a role. I think he might have some standalone value this year for what I'm gathering. He's going to be on the field a lot more. But Zeke is such a good third down blocker. You know what I mean? He blocks so well that he's not going to come off the field that much. So an injury is going to get Pollard on the field. Zach Moss just might snatch that job. That's my only critique. I like his lineup. It's better than
and Zach Moss went in the same round
as Pollard,
as Singletary. He went the 7th.
Oh,
which we'll be talking about his team very soon. So I mean, I think for the most part with Ryan's team, I'm done with what. He got a D.
That's what I'm thinking. I
didn't even realize he got a D. I mean, this team. I like his options at receivers. He has 2, I think, solid guys. Mike Evans, high upside, but fine. Zeke, Singletary, I wouldn't like it, but
I think he's going to be playing matchups with Lindsey and Singletary. I think he'll be playing matchups.
Yeah, but almost, and since he was his keeper, like I'm trying to look at what else he could have done in the 7th round. Who else went in that general area? Evan Ingram, we already talked about. I mean, Zach Moss, Leonard Fournette, Brandon Cooks. I mean, they're all.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's in the same caliber of player, but this one just has the risk. I mean, would you have rather taken Devin Singletary in the 7th or Zach Moss in the 7th? Because that's essentially what he was doing, but he didn't even have a 7th round because it was his keeper.
No, he had a 7th. He took Hunter Henry.
No, Devin Singletary was his keeper.
Yeah, in the 6th. Zach
Moss.
In
the 6th. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was thinking that it was the 7th.
But that's tough too to come into a draft and go 6-7 Buffalo running backs. You know what I mean?
So I mean, I think he's better off taking.
I think if anything, he didn't think Moss would go that early.
Yeah, that's possible.
That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, I know I talked to Ricky, and he listened to our last night, and he said he did want to come back and get Madison, but you snatched them up. So,
Adam
but
said I'm supposed
I
to
think
make.
it's
Adam
better.
said I'm supposed to make drops. I don't know.
Say again?
Adam said I should have made drops. Sorry, Adam. I still didn't make any drops. All right. So yeah, I mean, I don't think his team is god awful by any means. I don't think, which I think a draft grade of a D is a shitty team.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not a particularly scary team. I'll put it that way. I'm not looking at his team and like, oh shit, how am I going to beat him? He's
Yeah, I mean,
very beatable.
it's hard to see what position he has a distinct advantage on
Yeah.
his opponent for each week. You know what I mean? Because you have Zeke, but you didn't follow up with a you know what I mean, a stronger RB2. But
Yeah.
and his receivers are gonna likely not win too many weeks, but they shouldn't kill him either.
And I can't say of all of his other running backs, I don't see anybody who comes out and emerges as a legit RB2. Like, especially if Singletary goes away, none of his other running backs, maybe Lindsey or an injury in Los Angeles, but I don't see somebody being like, oh man, I got to start him instead. Like, his depth at running back is iffy.
But he does have the, you know what I mean? Like they might not be week winners, but at least if one of those guys go down, it's not going to be like he doesn't have people to play.
Yeah.
They'll
have somebody to play, but not with a very high ceiling.
They had the pump unplugged again. They unplugged the pump again.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at water.
I know. I just plugged it in.
But where's the plug that it wasn't?
I got it plugged in, Ash. Sorry.
All right.
We're having our basement finished, and it's just a little crazy.
It's all good. So, Ryan, I think your team is a little bit better than your draft grade of a D, but like I said, not scary. That's kind of my final piece on it. We spent a long time talking about Ryan's team, so you should feel special, Ryan.
Move on to Heck Dogs, who I have week 1.
Heck Dogs. How about it?
He was drafted in the 12 hole.
And an asshole because he kept Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, which was an in-season trade last year. I believe he must have been out of it, kind of, because I think he sent back CMC to Rashid. Rashid went all in. I believe that was CMC was included in order to get Mahomes. But it's smart to increase the value of his keeper by going last. So he gets him at the very end of the round 3. Can't knock Davante Adams in the first round. I love Aaron Jones, but we spoke about it the night of the draft. Going 2 Packers back-to-back. I mean, Aaron Jones, touchdown regression's coming. 16 to 18 touchdowns last year. He's not going to see that. He's still a solid RB2. I'm sorry, running back 1 more than likely. The big guy's there now, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. For the first round, I would like to diversify a little bit more. Like if he would have went either one of them, and I was going to say Tyreek Hill, who went right after, but like we said, he disappears.
Yeah.
So I'd like somebody a little bit better. So I would have said like Davante Adams. I mean, I think he could have went.
I would have went like Drake or somebody like that.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake was the next pick.
Yeah.
After that.
And only because I have them in similar tiers. I might even personally have Drake a little bit higher, but when it comes down to like trying to find that tiebreaker, I don't want the running back and receiver on the same team if I don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because the way I always look at it is you can stack a running back and a quarterback, running back, and a wide receiver. That you still have the opportunity to double up. You're probably never going to double up. So it means any touchdown scored on his team, there's only a chance of one of them scoring it at that time. So, I mean, not that that's really that big of a deal, but I still think they're going to have standalone value.
Exactly. I mean,
it's not going to kill him. He's limiting the number of points he can get from the Green Bay Packers game.
You're right. Adams is still my wide receiver too. I would have taken him over Julio in this league where touchdowns are more important than a bunch of catches. I had Adams at 2, so I like getting him there at 12. Like I said, Aaron Jones, I love him. I don't know if I would have did that stack.
Yeah.
Mahomes, I mean, he's going to destroy me 2 nights from now. He's unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Ingram in the 4. He's until that job is not his, you got to love it. I mean,
Yeah.
he's still got something in the tank with Lamar Jackson.
And I don't think he disappears either way. I mean, I think J.K. Dobbins, I think they are going to go with a real committee.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, somebody's going to score more touchdowns, and throughout the year, that could end up being Dobbins more than Ingram. But Ingram's not going away the way that everybody thinks, like, oh, Dobbins is going to come in and destroy. I mean, if anything, yeah, if they don't need Dobbins to go out there and just run the world off, like, why? Like, let Ingram – don't beat either one of them up and have them healthy at the end of the year.
He hasn't shown a decline in his skill set yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. He's still producing, and you're only better when you have a quarterback that does what Lamar does. When you're a running back.
Just want to let everybody know that Von Miller is out for the year now. Just got that text.
Yeah.
Hurt his foot today. So whoever has Denver's defense.
Rashid.
Oh, good. We'll talk about it in a bit.
They're already missing Bradley Chubb too. T.Y. Hilton, Mr. Reliable.
New quarterback there, but I still think he stays the number one. I mean,
you're going from Brissett to Phillip Rivers, who Old Man Rivers still. He targeted Allen a lot. He had Mike Williams, so he's come into a situation with a really good offensive line.
Yeah.
Not many weapons, so I think that T.Y. still has value there.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he could have went around earlier, and I probably wouldn't even have questioned it. I mean,
I think it's just his age and his injuries that have pushed him down the board.
I would say probably more the injuries, because I think there was definitely weeks. Did he miss quite a few weeks last year too?
I mean, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say so. I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I had to look up stats.
But I think and last year, I think what it was, though, he would come back and play and do nothing.
It'd be like a decoy.
Yeah, there's just a decoy, which that is probably more frustrating than just knowing somebody is out.
Right.
They go, oh, okay, I'm going to go ahead and play him because he's playing, and then he just throws up a goose egg on you, and you're like, fuck. Like, that's probably more frustrating, and that's probably maybe sticks in more people's minds, where he had games where he came back from injury and did nothing.
One thing I'm really surprised of is I really do like the Darren Waller falling all the way only because tight ends and quarterbacks were going kind of early.
Yeah.
Getting Darren Waller in a 6 is great value. I mean, he was a top 5 guy last year. He had
he was a stud last year.
I traded him away to Ricky, Dick.
So my only question for him, though, like with the two, essentially, it seems like they're probably going to start 2 rookie wide receivers.
They have him listed that way.
Do you think that it cuts into his production as far as target share? They had Tyrell Williams last year and Hunter Renfrow and whoever else.
Renfrow's still going to be the slot guy. I think he slapped the other 2 guys out wide, I guess. I mean, I don't think so. He's such a beast and such a mismatch that I think he's going to get his. If anything, they're going to suffer because
over him.
What's that?
That he's going to get his over the 2 rookies.
They're the rookies. We talked about the hit ratio on rookies. It's not very high. I'm going to trust him. I think he's option 1 there.
Okay.
That's my belief. I mean, whether we believe the reports that Josh Jacobs is going to start catching, from 25 catches to 60, maybe, but I still think that the passing attack is going to run through him because he's a problem.
All right, here, side note then, just for fun, Derek Carr, I don't believe he was drafted to anyone's team. I mean, but he's had years as he definitely put up some decent weeks in his career. Do you see the Raiders offense being I'll say top 10 offense? Not saying that any one player is a top 10 guy, but do they have quite a few weeks where Derek Carr could start for you?
Could he be streamed in matchups? Sure.
Yeah.
I think there's so many that could. To
Yeah, I
answer
mean,
the first part of your question, do I think there's a chance they can
to be
correct
rostered, maybe
it?
that's a better way to say it. Do you think that by the end of the year he's rostered and somebody's, I'm not going to say weekly starter, but he starts 2 out of 3 weeks for somebody?
I mean, it's a good possibility because, I mean, there's going to be, hopefully not, but probably 4, 5, 6 guys that go down, maybe,
Yeah,
like,
happens every year. I will say, like, he would be somebody that I kind of do think he has a chance to kind of come
yeah,
back to fantasy relevance.
yeah, I agree with that take. I'm okay with him going undrafted too, though. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah,
It's
because
one of those guys, it's not like oh my God, how did he not make it on somebody's team? But and then Zach Moss.
which
Other than
we talked about already.
yeah,
So
we
I mean,
talked about him.
same.
So yeah,
I'm good.
Julian Edelman in the
Like
eighth.
it.
Other than
Does he
N'Keal
still get the
Harry.
same play?
Say again?
Does he still get the same play with Cam Newton that he did with Tom Brady?
That's the thing. I mean, he has to throw to somebody. James White, N'Keal Harry, who's going to step up? I mean, Edelman is Mr. Reliable. I can't believe he's not on Brian's team. Um, trying to think. It's such an unknown there. Like, what
Yeah.
Cam Newton are we getting? I don't think we're getting the Cam Newton that's going to run for 8, 9 touchdowns. So is he going to be able to?
I mean,
His MVP.
I could see him sneaking him in. I could see him like coming in from like the 3, but I don't see him getting the yards that he used to get.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the bigger piece. So, and if that's the case, that bodes better for Edelman because he's going to throw the ball a little bit more
And he
instead of
gets
running.
separation out of the slot. He's going to be running. He runs good routes. He's going to.
Yeah.
So I think there is value there. It's just such an unknown.
Yeah. I mean, this is only a quarter. I mean, he's a PPR machine, but this is only a
right.
Quarter point PPR. So
Yeah.
all those receptions
And
don't mean much if he doesn't score any touchdowns.
The comeback in round 9, 10, I'll never agree with a kicker and defense going that early. I don't. I know Justin Tucker is the best. He's probably going to go down as the greatest of all time, but he's only got to not start in 1 week. I understand all that. There's probably not even guys that all the guys that we're taking in round 9 or 10 may not even stick. They may not amount to anything, but there are times a lot of us get keepers late or guys that contribute to your roster that I would rather take a chance on than taking a kicker then. But he does have the best. Baltimore's defense is going to be after people. The moves they made in the offseason. I'm not going to spend too much time on the defense. I'm sorry.
As a Ravens fan, I'm excited about their defense.
Yeah. I mean, when you have Lamar in that offense, good offenses always help their defense because it makes teams play scared kind of, you know what I mean?
And it keeps them off the field.
Yeah. But, I mean, you go down 14, then that other team is like, dude, they're hitting the panic button and turnovers happen. Anyways, Tariq Cohen. Yeah, I mean,
I think early on, especially with David Montgomery, what his deal is now, he could probably get plugged in to potentially start.
Yeah, but I mean,
you might get a couple of weeks out of him, but when Montgomery comes back,
he's a flash player,
Yeah, but if flash when he's going to flash more when Dave Montgomery is not there than when he is.
True. Hawkinson, I think it's a good pick. He showed signs earlier in the season. Obviously he came out week 1 and blew up, and then it was like, oh, rookie tight end that might actually hit because rookie tight ends
crickets after that.
But it was.
It's not like he's. Do you think he's going to start him over Waller?
No.
So
I mean, Waller is in that top tier, not with the top 3 guys, but I think he's in that tier where you can just set him. And if you have a bad week here and there, you can just keep playing him. Though I'm not taking him out for Hawkinson other than a bye week. Kirk Cousins, I think, is the same thing. I think he just brought him in for depth. Obviously, you have Mahomes.
Yeah,
so that's absolutely what that is. Golden Tate, again, we talked about taking the flyer. Somebody's going to catch.
Yeah, somebody's going to catch a touchdown each week.
He's going to throw 20 to 30 touchdowns there in New York, and somebody's going to do it. I hope Darrell Williams sucks because he's the cuff to Clyde Hilaire, and he's going to have.
But if Clyde Hilaire goes down, I mean, his
Don't speak that.
value's through the roof. I mean,
Don't speak like that.
I'm not bringing that on you, Ricky
No, what I'm
Bobby.
saying is, though, I think, especially early on, I was happy to get Hilaire in the first round. I mean, I just wanted to piece it off, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and think that all of a sudden he's going to get 80% of the snaps, 80% of – it's not going to happen. They're going to use other guys. It's just I hope Hilaire gets the more valuable one, which I fully expect.
Yeah.
I think he has value, especially in round 15.
Yeah.
I can't hate that pick. I think it's a good team. Whenever you get to start with Mahomes,
Yeah. I mean,
Mahomes, Adams,
and I'll still say Aaron Jones. I mean, he's still going to throw up a lot of points.
yeah,
He's going to have weeks where when the Green Bay Packers destroy whoever they're playing, that he is just going to flat out destroy teams.
Yep. And he had so many games last year where he just absolutely took over.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple three rushing touchdown games last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like and Mark Ingram's got so much value because they're gonna be so high scoring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lamar might throw 3, but you want running backs in systems like that. So.
I mean, I'll say, like, the way I kind of said when I was talking about Ryan's team, that his team didn't really scare me much. If you catch his team on a bad week, they're pretty scary.
Yeah.
I mean, they can put up a lot of points.
I agree. Yep. I don't think his depth is too scary, but
yeah. I mean, again, kind of the same thing.
But you're not going to be scared of that. But
at this point, to win the league, it's one of the guys you took a shot on rounds 10 through 15 ends up being a stud. I don't see that happen. I mean, Zach Moss has some potential for that, but outside of that, nobody else. I don't see anybody else breaking out as a startable player week in, week out.
Right.
So his starting lineup is pretty solid, like very, very solid. Ingram, again, we said there's a lot of unknown, but I don't think he loses all of his value. I just don't think he has the same value that he had last year.
No. J.K. Dobbins is far better than whoever was running. I mean, Gus wasn't there last year, but
Gus Edwards was there. It was Gus Edwards, Justice Hill.
Justice Hill, that's the one who didn't get enough time. Everybody was screaming for him to get more time. Anyways, let's move on to where you want to go next.
So that technically wraps up what would be first world problems.
Right. So now we're moving on
by doing them.
Actual waiver wire holders.
So let's go to Rashid. So I'll work down that list. Rashid. Cam Newton. Kind of discussed what's he going to be in New England. I saw some dumb article today. It was like that New England's going to have a losing record this year. It's kind of like a bold prediction in something. I was like, huh. I was like, is it possible? I mean, yeah, I think it's possible with the pieces they lost on their defense.
Yeah.
Like they could struggle. Their division's better. Like
Buffalo was good. Buffalo's winning that division, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, I still see Cam as what 3 years ago, Cam Newton, that was the league MVP. 4 years ago. Yeah, I think it was in 2016. I mean, so he has the ability, but his decline has just been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which has been like, after that Super Bowl, he just really has not been the same.
I mean, when we last saw him on the field, he could barely throw the ball.
Right. But I think Bill Belichick can scheme or scam, however you want to call it, an offense that's going to fit.
The thing I just worry about on that side of the ball is they're depleted, man. Like they have no superstars on that side of the ball for him. I mean, Edelman is reliable. N'Keal Harry hasn't panned out yet. The running backs, I don't know. Who's at tight end right now? I don't know.
They should have traded for Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate has no, especially with adding Gronk.
Yeah.
And I think they should have just made a play for somebody who is a very good athlete. And I think Cameron Brate is. Like, he would have been a good fit.
And then you see, you've talked many times about the defense that they lost. They didn't just lose players. They lost big players. But
yeah.
So we'll see. Belichick's the GOAT. If they get Cam of old, then there's no way they have a losing record. But I still spending too much time on Cam, but
Oh, you were.
I think Buffalo wins that.
It was just because it was his first. It was a starting quarterback when I looked at his starting roster. But yeah, we'll continue to go down. Let's start with his drafting order, starting with Miles Sanders,
pick 7,
number 7 overall pick.
Yeah. He had Sutton in the 8th round.
I mean, Miles Sanders. Right now, Philly. They're supposed to, I think, be okay. Like Carson Wentz, people still like, but I just don't see who they're throwing the ball to. I feel like they're just going to stack the box against them, and whatever running back they put out there is just going to get murdered. Like I just.
I mean, he's one of those second-year guys that are in that tier that they're expecting a jump. I mean, the second half of the year last year, he became a bell cow, which traditionally Doug Peterson would never do. So I think that's why he was taken there, is that upside that he's a 3-down back in what should be a pretty decent offense. I think it was a little rich for me. But
so, I mean, here's one. All right, so Miles Sanders, would you rather have Miles Sanders, Joe Mixon, Julio Jones, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones? Kelsey went 10, but you have to be bold to take Kelsey there, or Kenyon Drake. I like at least 4 of those guys more than Miles Sanders right now that won't have as many question marks around him.
I do. I mean,
I think that's my piece. If you would have took him at like 10 or 11, I would have said, okay, I get it. But 7, I thought was a little much.
Yeah, we all said we all raised our brows a little bit at the draft because we thought it was early for a guy that you're hoping takes a leap. I mean, as I say that, I took a rookie at 4, right ahead of him. But
but in a much better situation.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's
definitely question
why that is different. So Chris Godwin, as much as I say I'm not really buying into the Tampa Bay hype yet, Godwin was really good last year. I think he is the reception leader on that team, and I think he gets the most volume. He might not score the most touchdowns, but I think he gets the most volume. So I understand that pick there, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the upside of that pick.
Yeah, no, I like that.
So he went running back, then 3 wide receivers, Amari Cooper and Cooper Kupp, which I did say he should change his team name to 2 Coops, 1 Kupp. I think it's pretty awesome. Just in case everybody else didn't hear it, you heard it here first. Kind of the same deal. I think we talked about it last night, but Amari Cooper might I think he just has disappearing games. He has blow-up games and disappearing games. He doesn't throw in just a lot of like, oh, okay, solid fantasy day. Thanks, Amari. Cooper Kupp, I do like.
Those 3 wide receivers could win him some weeks, though.
Actually, I mean, that's a solid wide receiver core, so I won't knock that. But if we're going to team that with his, well, I was going to say his starting wide receivers or running backs, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt's not bad. I mean,
they just paid him. He got paid today, man.
Yeah. I mean, but Nick Chubb's there, so you just know that they're eating into each other's carries. Both of them are very good. Both of them will still have standalone value, but you just know he is not the bell cow. So I think the problem is he has 2 good RB2s, or he has 2 RB2s. He doesn't have an RB1 in my mind.
I mean,
until Miles Sanders proves me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, going down the backstretch last year, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb were both top 10 running backs. Do I think that'll play out over 16? No, but hey, man, they brought him in and they paid him. They're gonna use him. I mean, it's who's more talented. Let's keep the off-field issues out of it. We know what Kareem Hunt did in Kansas. Strictly talent.
Yeah.
It's close, dude. Right? Kareem Hunt is special.
I mean, as a Ravens fan, I saw what Nick Chubb did to the Ravens too last year, and I was like, "Good God, this guy is
5 yards a carry. He's good."
I mean, I think they're both. If they were both the only running back on their team, they would be killing it. Like they would both be top 7 running backs off the board if they were both on their own team. But because they're in the same backfield, it diminishes their value.
Well, and that's why he's
in that way. Right. Which, I mean, he's going to have weeks where you're like, he's great. So I don't I like him more than Miles Sanders at 1. I'll put it that way. But as you said before, J.K. Dobbins, if he emerges as
The guy.
with a bigger role, like I said, I
Yeah.
don't think Ingram's going away. But if he emerges with a bigger role in that offense, then he can slide up and it becomes Dobbins and Kareem Hunt.
Yep.
I mean, that's actually a little scary, to be
Mhm.
honest. It makes his team look a lot stronger. Evan Ingram talked about. I think it's the mouths to feed situation there. And the problem is they have a lot of mouths, but I don't think any of them are significantly that much better than their running back Saquon. So,
Right.
I mean, that offense tends to run through Saquon. And then you have 3 wide receivers that to me are all roughly the same ability level. I mean, I think they're all like decent, but none of them are great. And Evan
Right.
Ingram, I think, falls in that same category. I think he has talent, but he just has not been force fed the ball much. But it's again a tight end in the 7th round. Like it's not terrible. He's going to have good weeks, and he's going to have weeks where you're like, ah, shit, I got 2 points for my tight end. But that's what most people are going to deal with all year.
Yep.
So I don't
Agreed.
hate the pick. It's the position. Kept Cortland Sutton. That's 4 startable wide receivers
Which
from
is why I probably would have tried to see where the running back depth was in that 2, 3, 4 that he went because
yeah.
of Sutton. But because you can only start 3 of them.
Yeah,
But
you can only start 3, but I mean, I don't know about bye weeks, nor do I care.
yeah,
But
right.
at the same time, I don't know if he has bye week problems with any of them. But if assuming the bye weeks are split up, I mean, he has 3 solid starters all year. Even any bye week, he still he still has 3 solid starters. Cam Newton already talked about. Stafford in the 10th, which I mean, I think Stafford should be your starter until he gets hurt or something happens. But I mean, like we
Yeah, we
said, he
spoke about
killed
him.
it the first half of last year. So
We're both high on him, so I like that pick there. Even if because if you want to roll with Cam, that's fine. But if you find out that you're not getting the old Cam, Mr. Reliable and Matt Stafford's right there.
yeah, I mean, I would present with Matt Stafford first and let Cam Newton work his way in.
I would
He,
probably agree with that.
I mean, he's in the same team that he's been for his entire career, whereas Cam's new team, a lot of question marks around the offense. I'd be starting Stafford.
Both coming off of injuries, but
So Ruggs shot the dart throw. Brandon Ayuk dart throw.
that one made Dutton mad. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that made him mad because he was trying to get all San Francisco players. But I mean, those are 2 good dart throws that could be potential keepers over Cortland Sutton in the 6th the following year. So, and I think they both have high upside. But I mean, so let's say one of those pan out. Now he has 5 receivers,
right.
and so everybody should be expecting trade offers after Brandon Ayuk's first blow up game. Good luck.
Yep.
So I mean, I think the Miles Sanders like really made me think like, oh, his team sucks, but it's not really. If I look past him, if he can get Dobbins, what the fuck?
What?
Oh, I was going to say he only has 3 running backs. So I mean, I would say that's a bit of a problem. He's got a fuck ton of wide receivers. He has
Holy
2 defenses,
man, he only has 3,
which is a bit excessive.
and 2 of them in committees.
Yeah,
Hmm. If he's going to struggle, it's going to be right there
yeah,
because we're not sold on Miles being the guy. I mean, he's going to go towards the back end of the first, early second, but I
yeah.
didn't want to be in a position to have to take him with my
Like
first.
I'll tell you, like right now, his team, you swap Joe Mixon and Miles Sanders, team solid.
Yeah, I
But
agree. I
and
mean,
and it
that
still could
offensive
be. It
line
still
is
could be. But I've seen it out of Joe Mixon. Obviously, you haven't seen it out of Miles Sanders. And I think there's more question marks around Philly than Cincinnati right now with Joe Burrows. So
is that crazy that you're saying that?
no, because I mean it's all quarterback related.
I know. I'm
I
just
mean, like,
saying. Like
which
we
there was
haven't seen
years
the
where
guy
Dalton
different.
was fine. He
Yeah.
was a fine quarterback.
I mean, he
And
did it with terrible quarterback play last year, and
yeah,
he got off to a rough start, and then he just killed it.
Yeah, they just kept feeding him,
Yeah.
even when they should have just lost. Like, hey, we're trying to get Joe Burrow. Fucking settle down.
But I mean, back
Um,
to what you spoke on earlier about does the team scare you? So I don't think it does, but he does have receivers that have weak winning potential.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, I think all of them do. He has 4 receivers with
yeah.
weak winning potential.
I mean, we've seen Cooper Cup go berserk. Obviously, we've seen Amari, and Chris Godwin is probably the most consistent, and that's why he went in the second round. But new quarterback, how much is he going to be slinging it around the field to all those weapons? And then if Dobbins does get a bigger role, then his team becomes, in that scary,
Yeah.
but
He's
I'd give him better than a D. I don't know how
yeah.
high it would go.
I mean, I think could be based on his running back depth. I mean, again, the 2 defenses is odd, but fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
They're
There.
trying to
It has
drop
his team has a
down.
very high ceiling. I think I'll put it that way. With Stafford and the rest of that lineup, I mean, he could have some blow up weeks too. But I think that he's going to have a lot of weeks where he potentially misses.
Agreed.
So,
I mean, where would
I
you
mean,
get?
it's his running back depth is the thing that like bothers me. But I mean, I would have said at least a C.
That's.
I don't think it's bad. It's
No, I don't think it's
again,
bad.
it's the Miles
Whenever
Sanders
you're
piece
rolling
at
out,
the number 1 is my biggest
yeah,
issue.
when you're rolling out Godwin, Cooper, and Cup or Sutton, it's hard to say you had a bad draft.
Yeah, and I mean Sutton was good at the end of last year too, but that was with Drew Lock, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, he's got definitely receiver depth, running back depth,
Yep. He's
TBD. So I'm alright with that. All
yeah.
right, next up, Dunder Mifflin.
Dunder Mifflin. So this is Sean.
Oh, this is going to be the fun one.
So listen, I mean, we took it easy on our division last night, but there may be some shade thrown, and I'm going to tell you right now, I don't see a B- here, but when we first started the call last night, before we started recording, I told you how top heavy his team was.
Yeah.
His first 4 rounds were, if you ask me, phenomenal. I mean, we had another running back receiver combo duo on a decent
Julio
team.
and Chubb.
No. Chubb and Beckham, I mean. So he goes Julio first round.
Yeah, okay.
Back. Chubb, I like him in the second round. He's a guy that I would have been happy for him to come back around to me. I think Odell does have a bounce back year. Do you want to take both of those players in that situation? But it's a
on the
third
same
round
team.
receiver. Yeah, but it's a third round receiver. You know what I mean?
But similar to the Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones stack.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm saying, do you want to? We talked about that in Green Bay. Do you want to do that there? I mean, but if you're staring down Odell and
would you rather do it in Green Bay or Cleveland?
Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, everybody put Cleveland as Super Bowl champs preseason last year, and they underwhelmed. I mean, which that was the only thing that was going to happen unless they won the Super Bowl. They're going to underwhelm, but I definitely felt like their offense struggled more than it should have on paper, and that relied heavily on Baker.
So before we go any further, Kittle in the 7th was his keeper,
which is a great.
I can't remember who
had
his spot before Sean came in, because he came in with the keeper
of Kittle.
He got him in the 9th last year. Obviously, kept him all year, and he got him in the 7th this year. Phenomenal value. But so Terry McLaurin. I'm a Cowboy fan.
All right. I know where you're going with this now.
That dude's a problem. Terry McLaurin is really good, even with dreadful quarterback play. That dude put it together in a rookie season, which
I like him a lot.
Doesn't happen very often.
You're right. That is a solid 4. I mean,
so it's top 4 picks, dude. It's like, okay. And then we get what I think is the most flabbergasted pick of the draft so far. You already have the position locked up, a top 2, maybe even the top guy. Don't pick another one. You need another guy for 1 week.
Yeah.
And you come and you take Tyler Higbee in round 5. Tyler Higbee did have a very good end of the year last year. I keep talking about end of the years last year, blah, 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 blah. He had a really,
Yeah.
a
But I mean,
pace
as
that,
of right now, there's no preseason, so that's really all you have to go on.
and the pace that he was going on last year towards the end of the year is not sustainable. I mean, and here's the thing, like they're playing the Cowboys this Sunday. Watch him go out and score 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and then I'll get all this shade thrown at me. Like, it doesn't matter even if he hits. The fact that you took him in the 5th does not make it a good pick, whether he hits, because you could have got him in round
So I'm just
9.
going to say the next few guys who went off the board after that: Michael Gallup, Stephon Diggs, T.Y. Hilton, and I'll give you 2 more, but I have to go there. Yeah. So, and then what would that have done? I mean, he could have essentially he had
didn't need the
he had
receivers.
3 wide receivers already.
Yeah, he didn't
So,
need the receivers, but we're getting to why this is such a bad
oh
pick.
yeah, I mean,
So Carson Wentz, I'm just going to run through these kind of quick.
yeah, go ahead.
Carson Wentz, MVP a couple years ago, ridiculous, but bad offensive line, receivers just in and out of the lineup. He has problems staying healthy. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. Would I want him as a quarterback? I mean, maybe, but I would like to get him later than that. But
Yeah.
again, quarterbacks were going off the board kind of quick this year. And then his keeper and Kittle. And then we come to James White, who is his only other rostered running back.
I was going to say, oh yeah, it's his second running back. Yeah,
That's his only other running back. And then Joey Burrow, I like him. I would have liked to get him late for a keeper potential. I wouldn't have taken him in round 9, with Kyler. But he may have more value than Carson Wentz throughout the year. We'll see. Sterling Shepard, we keep talking about it. Take your chance, take your shots. Somebody's going to hit. Christian Kirk had a really good year last year when he was out there. He was banged up. I mean, you bring in Nuck, though, that's going to hurt his value.
Yeah.
But somebody else is going to catch the ball.
And I don't see, on the consistent basis, I don't see Julio, Odell, or Terry getting benched for Christian Kirk right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but you need
What
somebody
about
after those guys.
What about this? Would you ever see a scenario where Kittle or Higbee is benched for Gesicki, who he came back in the 12th round and got? Or do you ever see a scenario where –
if I have George Kittle on my team, I'm not taking another tight end, and I'm not even looking at the position the rest of the year.
You didn't even take 2. You came back
took 3.
Round 12 and took 3, and then in round 13 you took a 3rd quarterback in golf. Like, this is not 2 quarterback league. Like, we only start 1. I don't understand the James White being your only other rostered running back, and then taking Wentz, Burrow, Goff, and Gesicki and Higbee. I don't. And even if he would have gotten Higbee in the 14th and went Gesicki, Goff, Higbee,
whatever,
I still hated it.
You could say you said you still would have hated it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the roster spot, you have nobody, especially with just the 2 running backs. You have nobody, literally nobody to plug into that position yet. And yeah, you can obviously drop somebody immediately, but who are you getting?
Right. You're taking flyers but his receiver depth is awesome. I don't think his quarterbacks are going to scare anybody. His running backs damn sure aren't. I mean, we talked about Chubb. They paid Hunt. He's not going away. We got to see if they'll even bounce back to an offense. Chubb will be fine, but you're giving him no help. James White, and that's it. I don't see how Yahoo didn't take that into account. The B-, I don't understand it. No offense to Sean. I don't like the team outside of his staff. Yeah. His receivers are sick.
His first 4 picks are good. I like him, and I see why he made him where he did. Kittle, as the keeper, great.
Yeah, he has the advantage there every week.
But the thing that I'm looking at, okay, maybe his intent was a trade. I mean, but the only quarterback I think he could potentially move on his team would be Joe Burrow if he comes out strong. But if he comes out strong, I actually think he needs him.
Yeah.
So that means I don't see anybody trading for Carson.
I don't know that anybody would actually draft with the intent to trade.
I don't think so, but I think it's possible. I mean, I'm trying to make some sort of sense of what this lineup, like, of this draft, and it's like, okay, all right, maybe he was like, I'm going to draft more good wide receivers, and then I'll trade for somebody. I don't see him getting a good return value on Christian Kirk, the number 3, potentially. I mean, 2 or 3 in that offense, depending upon how they run it, or Sterling Shepard shot in the dark every week in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say actually I would put Sterling Shepard as their best wide receiver with the most upside. I will say that.
He's talented. He's splashed. He's very talented.
But then it's Golden Tate. Who's the other one? Darius Slayton. Yeah, I mean, I think he has the highest ceiling potentially. But so I don't see him being able to make a move for another running back. So how does he get running back help? And I think the only way he can do it, he'd have to move one of his
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is possible.
Yeah. I mean, package one of your 8 tight ends and your top 3 receivers and come away with an, RB3 type. I don't think he's going to be able to move into, I mean, maybe a running back 2 somewhere, but he has to make a move. I don't think you can roster this team all year.
Yeah.
James White as your only other, I mean, first of all, you don't have a bye week guy, but you can't go into a season with just 2 running backs and the other one being, it's not like you came away with Kamara and Saquon and then just like you did and just didn't draft anymore. Even then we would be killing your team for depth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these late rounds, give me a shot, throw some shots at anything. So, I mean, I definitely agree. This B- is perplexing, but I think we said it's because his total points scored is going to be ridiculous because he has 3 quarterbacks on his team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at some point that had to factor in because how else does it happen? So, I will say I like New Orleans defense pick. I don't care what you say. I like their defense.
Steal of the round. I had him queued up. I was so pissed about that.
I think even with his, I'll say, very, very non-depth lineup, I mean, he's not going to be a pushover. I don't think.
No. And see, that's what the shade that I'm throwing is going to look like. I'm thinking that he's going to be terrible. I think
his starting lineup
and his starting 4, he was set up for like a lot of success. And now I think he's going to have so many things that he's going to have to piece together because of the way the draft just kind of went, in my opinion.
Right. One of his starting players gets banged up for 2 weeks. He's sliding in trash.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry. I mean, I don't mean to say it like that, but I mean, positional advantage at tight end, you can at least give him that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
With Kittle, but I mean, I would make it a priority for him to try to pick up somebody that has some value at tight end. I mean, not a tight end. Drop some of those tight ends.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to find a team that's going to be able to match everything wide receiver wise.
I mean, he should make roster cuts, and he should make roster cuts this week and drop 3 people off his team.
I mean,
2 tight ends and a quarterback.
Dan's rolling out Michael Thomas and Kenny Galladay, so it's Julio, Beckham, McLaurin, or Michael Thomas, Galladay. They're going to have the best receiving core of those 2, if ever, barring injuries. But I know Dan has a little bit more at the running back position. So,
all right, yeah. So,
all right.
I mean, a starting lineup, I would say B-. I would say the most. I mean, you can still say a C, maybe even a C+. Again, his starting lineup's fine, but one thing that happens to every team, every fantasy season, somebody's going to get hurt at least for some time.
Yeah.
And then he's hurting after that.
But I mean, even if he doesn't get hurt, you're not getting anything out of James White from what everybody else is at their RB2 position. I don't think.
Yeah, you're not going to get the same.
Right.
For sure. All right.
Hold on, I'll be right back. Gotta take a leak.
All right, that's Thunder Mifflin. So next is going to be Larold Bigby. Old Man Rivers changing his team name again. Well, I'll start with the fact that he's an asshole for keeping Lamar Jackson. That is going to win you a few weeks just all by itself. So let me put your team up here. Old Man Rivers starts with Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Calvin Ridley, Zach Ertz for the first 4, and then he gets to his keeper of Lamar. So that's a running back, wide receiver, tight end. I like those running backs. I think there's high upside on both those running backs. Sorry, Ronnie, I just started a little bit. I just kind of read off his first 5 and called him an asshole for keeping Lamar in the 5th round, which goes without saying is a great value.
So Old Man Rivers has made it to the championship game the last 2 years, I believe, and he's consistent, man. He's always a front runner. And
Yeah.
I will say that the year I beat him, it's only because he was really a nice guy. I mean, my team was really good all year, but going into those playoffs, my team got the injury bug. Connor was gone, and I blew through my budget, my money. So I didn't have money to go pick up. And he could have easily blocked from getting – it might have been Damian Williams at the time, I think. And he even made a comment to Ricky, I think. Ricky was telling me about it, like, I could have blocked him. But fuck that. I'd have blocked him if it was the other way around.
Yeah. I mean, if you're out, yeah, I probably would have.
I would have. I mean, for sure. But, I mean, he's always a front runner. He's got – I mean, he's –
So
it doesn't hurt starting with Lamar in the 5th.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. 2 good starting running backs. Should be the bell cows for their team, Mixon and Jacobs.
So if I were to go towards the back end of the draft, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, or a Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb type stack would have been my ideal stack.
Yeah.
And he didn't even have to go that far. He was picking at 8 to get those 2. I think if Jacobs could start, catching more balls, I think there's good value there, getting him all the way back at whatever pick he was in.
So, but then you go to his number 1 wide receiver in Calvin Ridley. Now, I think Calvin Ridley is as the number 2 receiver on his prospective team. I think he's going to be better than other teams' number 1s.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently. So, I mean, it's still your number 1 receiver is technically the 2 on his team. And then I'm going to skip down just to look at receivers right now. Marvin Jones, always playable.
Deontay Johnson.
Fine. Deontay Johnson. The Pittsburgh wide receiver situation is going to be tricky. But
yeah,
again, I've said this before, like if Ben plays the whole year, I think there's going to be 2 wide receivers with value. Who is it, though? Juju and blank. Is it Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, or
I hope it's not Juju for all that shit I was talking about him last night because Dave will come and call him.
Yeah. But, I mean, like the upside is there for him because he at least had 1 amazing year. So, he has talent. It's just, can he repeat it as to be the man? So, Deontay Johnson. So, right now, he does have David Montgomery, which for volume purposes, and he still got him relatively late, 6th round. That's fine. So I would say he's probably rolling out 3 running backs on the regular.
Marlon Mack. Everything in fantasy, we know that. He's going to have opportunities. I mean, he didn't do much with the volume last year, but you're hoping for that leap.
Yeah. So let's see. What's that?
I mean, he was the 3rd round.
So I think he's going to be starting 3 running backs most of the year. And then his 2 receivers would be a combination of Ridley, Deontay Johnson, and Marvin Jones, which, I mean, I like Marvin Jones. He's always kind of falls later in the drafts, but he always produces.
He's consistent. And then he just, he started going receiver heavy to try and see who's going to land.
Exactly. Like rookie Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. I mean, it's a good flyer. Preston Williams is a flyer in Miami. If they turn that around, I think he had flashes of being something, but
they got hurt. Yeah.
Fitzmagic, we'll let it ride. So Crowder, we talked about Jamison Crowder. No, we talked about Robbie Anderson. Crowder, I mean, I think I was going to say, is he the only jet that was drafted? But no, because I think Herndon got drafted and Le'Veon Bell, obviously. But, I mean, he should be the number 1 there, right? I think they drafted a rookie. I don't know who it is, but with no preseason, I would take the vet in any system.
Yeah, he'll just be a plug-in guy here and there. Maybe if he has to roster him, then something went wrong.
Benny Snell, if something happens. Because I think Connor has a legitimate chance of returning to form, but also if he doesn't, he obviously got injured last year too, so his backup has high potential. I mean,
Mike Tomlin came out and said that, we love all our guys, we're going to use them all, but Connor is our bell cow. He came out and said that today.
Yeah, until he's hurt.
Right.
And then when he is, we're going to move on.
Yep.
And that's the thing. I think if they move on, I think it becomes a very different shift for his workload week in and week out, even if he comes back during the season.
I think Benny Snell is the guy to own behind him. I know Schmitty grabbed up McFarland.
Yeah.
Jalen Samuel is always giving it a shot, but I think Benny Snell is who they like more there now. But we'll see. I mean, like you said, there's no preseason for McFarland to go out there and run against the 2s and 3s and shine. So I don't know.
So, and
but all in all, I think he has a good team. I mean,
yeah, Zach Ertz in the 4th, as we said. So I mean, he shored up his tight end, which, I think there's still the contract talks with him, but right now, as far as I know, he's still playing.
Yeah.
I don't think he's planning on holding out or anything, but he has one tight end. So look, one tight end, one quarterback, and then running backs and wide receivers all over the place. Like, he took shots.
Marlon Mack, we've spoke about him at at length because of Jonathan Taylor. Marlon Mack is not going anywhere for a while, and
till the end of this year, then he's fucking gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can agree that if he did have a weakness, it's those wide receivers. Much like me, I mean, he's got Ridley at least to plug and play, and then everybody else he's going to be picking matchups, like a couple of us are going to be doing too. And then, but he's strong at Mixon, Jacobs. He's got Lamar is going to go out there and absolutely dominate weeks. Zach Ertz is going to be consistent, reliable. I mean, I still think Goddard's going to continue to eat into his target share.
Yeah,
but it might just be them two.
Catching all the passes in Philly, it's possible. So, but I like the shots with Paris Campbell, Crowder, and Jefferson at wide receiver. I mean, he's hoping one of them become a weekly starter. I mean, at least that's what I would be doing.
And one of these guys are going to end up on the waiver wire tomorrow. Unless because it doesn't look like he has an IR eligible player because he doesn't have a kicker.
Yeah.
So let's not reveal who we are hoping that he dropped.
Yeah.
No, I like Buffalo's defense. They're going to get after you.
So what was his draft grade? Oh, he got an A. He's so good. I mean, I think Lamar Jackson on your team is going to get you an A no matter what. But yeah,
then, like we said, rolling out Mixon, Jacobs, and if Montgomery can do anything with the workload once he gets back out there, that he's probably missing at least the first 2 weeks too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I mean, just receivers are the weakest part of his team. And for that reason, I think an A is excessive. But Lamar is going to – I think there's going to be many weeks that Lamar makes up for his lacking at wide receiver.
Yeah, he's going to be able to hide any small holes that he might have. I agree with that. And,
So I can still say it, but I'm going to give him A minus just because his wide receivers aren't scary to me yet. Fine. Old Man Rivers, and this is our last one, right? Prestige Worldwide is our last one.
Okay.
Same.
So I guess, we are finishing up with Ricky.
Prestige Worldwide.
Drafted in the 4th position. I believe he kept DK Metcalf in the 8th. Is that right?
Yeah. Where's he at? Boom, right there. Yes, that was the DK Metcalf in the 8th. I like the value.
Yeah.
There.
So bear with me. I'm just looking through right here.
So
he's picking out of the 4 hole. There's a couple guys, me picking 6, I had in that tier. Dalvin, Hilaire. I wanted one of those 2. I had a feeling Michael Thomas wasn't driving to me, so I was okay with either one. He went with Dalvin. Again, we spoke on it last night. I thought he would have prioritized a little more on Madison with Cook, with whatever's going on with him. He told me earlier he wanted him, but
I took him in the 10th.
Right, and that's where he took a defense. And I think he might have picked after you. No, he picked.
Oh, yes, because I took Alexander Madison right after he took Pittsburgh, which I was eyeballing Pittsburgh there, but because he went right before me, I just punted and picked my defense later.
So Dalvin, stud. I mean, he finally. I almost like want to call it a breakout last year. I mean, I think he broke out. He was always that middling, like he's good, but he hasn't been great yet. He fucking dominated last year. He was
Well,
good.
they gave him a lot more opportunities. Like they let the offense run through him rather than spreading it out. I feel like they just utilize him so much more.
Well, plus he stayed healthy. Coming back with D-Hop in a second. I mean,
he just got that money.
Yeah, he got paid, and him falling all the way to 21. That's strictly new person and new
team.
He's got the best hands in the game outside of Michael Thomas. Probably it's them two guys. It worried me. I was torn between. I talked about it. Do I go running back or do I take D-Hop or do I take Golladay? He fell to him. That's a good pick. Here's where I struggle with the draft for what Ricky put together. If you would have told me, all right, if I were going to tell you there are 2 running backs that are going in the top 5 rounds that I'm not touching at all, like I just don't want nothing to do with, it's the next 2 picks.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with Gordon, new person, new offense. Philip Lindsay has been just fine. Every time somebody comes and they're like, he's going to take their, Lindsay's going to be out of the way. Lindsay he keeps doing his thing. And I want nothing to do with Le'Veon Bell. I mean, you sold me last night on Gurley because there's nobody behind him. I can understand that. I'm like, you know what? They're in the 3rd round. I looked who went around him. I was okay with the Gurley pick, and I probably would have made the same pick. I don't even need to look at the draft board and see who was around Bell. I'm not touching him. He's not explosive anymore. He has no burst. A horrible team.
Yeah.
I'm not touching Bell. I don't care that it's round 4. I don't care who went around him. Hate it. Hate Le'Veon. Don't want it. I do like Robert Woods. I wanted him. Ricky picks 2 picks before me in round 5, and I didn't have a receiver yet.
Is Ricky very nostalgic? By any means? Do you know?
No.
And the only reason I look at that, like his first 4 picks 3 years ago, I mean, good God, that would have been a monster team. But
all 4 of them guys, like they were Dalvin in the 2nd, and those other 3 guys in round 1.
I mean, Hopkins, I get. I mean, it's worth the leap just because of the player he is. Well, the leap of faith, saying, "Oh, he's still going to get it done." His old production, but Melvin Gordon, yeah, I like the Melvin. I don't know. I was going to say if I had to pick one of those 2 picks right there, because 3rd round,
Gordon is the better player right now. There's no question about that. If you ask me, I'm just worried about what might happen around. You know what I mean? In that.
I mean, I look at the player that went right after him, David Johnson. I mean, same general concept that, it's a player who 3 years ago was amazing. But at the same time, like, would you rather – I mean, David Johnson, I think, has that Houston backfield. He has the first crack at the backfield. Whereas Melvin Gordon, I just see him splitting with Lindsay all year. I would take the potential volume over – I mean, but you can definitely say injury risk still for David Johnson, so maybe that could have been your tiebreaker.
I mean, to me, there was just too many. Even if you didn't go running back, there's a lot of good receivers that I would have taken over that pick. I mean, David Johnson, I don't know. But Cooper, Ridley, Beckham Jr., I mean, all those guys I'm taking. Terry McLaurin, I'm taking over him. Mostert. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sold on Gordon changing teams with Lindsay there. It's not like he walked into Denver with nobody there.
Yeah.
Philip Lindsay has been getting it done. Again, I'm not going to speak too much more on Le'Veon Bell. I could be proven wrong. I don't think so. He's just not explosive.
I mean, I agree. Like, yeah, I don't think he cares anymore. Unfortunately, it's just
strictly volume with him. He's going to get a lot of touches, but he doesn't do anything with them anymore.
I mean, I don't know the answer to this. Let's see. Maybe I can find it. I'd be curious to know how many top 10 weeks he had last year. I mean, if the answer was 0, I wouldn't be surprised. It seems ridiculous, but
top 10 weeks. I'm sure he had.
Or top 12. Go top 12.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that he finished the year as like RB 15 or something like that, because it was just like he never had those week where you only got 2 or 3 points because they were just peppering him with targets and runs. But
Yeah.
you
But
know
in
what
a
I mean?
quarter point PPR, at all those receptions don't really mean shit.
I know, but I mean, I don't think he finished as bad as I'm laying it out. I just
But his
another
upside
year,
wasn't there.
another year in that shitty offense.
All right. So, oh, sweet Jesus. I just pulled it up. How many times do you think he had 100 yards last year?
I'm gonna go 0.
Oh, because you're looking at the sheet. Good call. Good call. You nailed it.
He didn't have a single 100-yard game.
I didn't even think that. Three rushing touchdowns,
That's what I'm
one
saying, man.
receiving touchdown. I mean,
Where's the upside? Like there is
yeah,
none.
like
There,
looking
there's
at
none.
that solidifies exactly what you just said.
I hate him. I honestly I wouldn't touch him this year. But
I wouldn't, but that is still where he should go. He should go in that general area, and at some point, somebody's going to say, "Oh, it's
somebody's going
Le'Veon
to.
Bell."
Yeah, it's
But
just never going to
I
be
want it
him.
to be somebody else, not me.
Exactly. It's never going to be. Even if he fell
If he
another
was there in the
round.
7th round,
In the 7th round, that's 3 rounds.
that's what I'm
different.
saying.
Yeah.
Right? It's a huge difference, but I'm saying eventually somebody is going to bite on the volume.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, even if he would have came back around in round 5, I probably wouldn't have taken him.
yeah.
But in 7, I mean, yeah. But I do like the Woods pick. I mean, he's consistent.
Yeah,
He doesn't
Woods, I love.
He doesn't score a lot of touchdowns, but he's going to go for over 1,000. You know.
Do you think that changes with Cooks being gone at all?
Well, that's what I was going to say. They got rid of Cooks, but they have this rookie that they're really high on. I can't think of his name. Van Jefferson or something that apparently has been lighting it up in camp. Again, no preseason, but
Yeah.
I think he's going to be slotted in 3 wide receiver sets, which we know McVay runs all the time. And apparently he's been tearing it up. But that doesn't scare me away from Woods. Woods and Cooper Kupp are going to be great 1A, 1Bs. Cooper Kupp's going to get the touchdown. Woods, you would like to see positive touchdown regression. I think he only had 3 last year.
I heard Tyler Higbee was going to get all the touchdowns.
Who told you that, Sean?
Yeah, he told me.
I mean, is Gerald Everett still there?
I actually think he is.
I think he's still there. That's another thing that, like, with the Higbee thing. But again, when he goes out,
we can't revisit that.
He's going to go for $120 and 3, and I'm going to hear all about it this week. Hayden Hurst, I think he has a big role. We know that Matt Ryan absolutely loves throwing the tight ends.
Yeah.
He's got a good skill set. It just never panned out. I want to say it never panned out in Baltimore, but he wasn't bad. And Mark Andrews was just
he wasn't bad. Mark Andrews was just much better. Right. And I think in that little contest, it just ended up being Andrews, and then he just kept going.
Yep. So Jordan Howard, I
really like that pick for Hayden Hurst though. Like I'm just seconding
it's the perfect
what you said.
spot for him to go to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the absolute perfect spot to go to. Like Hooper signing that deal in Cleveland, like he was better off fantasy wise staying where he was, but he went for the money. So Hayden Hurst slots into. I mean, we know Rivers loves tight ends, but Matt Ryan, man, he's gonna beat him. Jordan Howard, it's nothing sexy. It's not sexy, but
another Miami running back.
Is Breida starting? You see, I don't know, but he's there.
Is there any notes on him? Like I can't even tell you. Can I see anything? Nah. Fuck it. Jordan Howard. What we got? It's nothing but like matchup shit. So
yeah.
I mean, I couldn't even tell you who is the projected starter, him or Breida. I mean, I would say it's probably Howard. I would say if I had to own one, I'd probably be picking Howard just because.
See, I would go Breida. I think Breida has more upside. I think Jordan Howard has the higher floor, but in those rounds, I'd rather have the high ceiling that Breida offers. We've seen flashes that he can, DK Metcalf, we spoke a little bit. That's good value. He's a double-digit potential touchdown guy. He's good. I mean, getting Tom Brady as late as he did, I say that only because quarterbacks were flying off the board. Whatever. That's
his first quarterback?
Yeah, and I don't buy it. I don't think he has QB1 potential, in this league.
Yeah.
He's going to
I mean,
do
I'll tell you
really
what,
well for
he
Tampa
has
Bay.
I will say that he has the upside is there. He could turn it on fire. I mean,
I don't
could.
see this
Could.
scenario.
I
I mean,
don't
I
think it's a
guess
high
because of the
percentage of that
weapons.
happening, but at the same time, if he did, are you going to be like you're going to be like, "Oh, should have saw that coming." Like you're not going to be taken by that much surprise with the wide receiving weapons he has
Yeah.
and his ability to manage an offense. Like you're not going to be that surprised if he
I
has
think
to.
exactly what you said is what I'm expecting. I think he's going in there and he's going to manage and he's going to win games. I think he's better for Tampa than he is for Ricky's fantasy team. I don't think he's going
Yeah.
to,
Okay.
you know what I mean? I think they are. I'm not buying into the Super Bowl hype like a lot of people are. I
Fuck
think they're
that.
going to be better because the defense is good and he's not going to turn the ball over 30 times like Winston did. But I don't see him being a QB1. I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm high. I'm high on Pittsburgh. They were the defense I wanted. I'm pretty sure you know by now I would have never taken them in the 10th, but they're going to be real. They're a phenomenal defense.
yeah.
Anthony Miller is very, 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 very talented wide receiver, running in the slot, but it just goes back to Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever actually broken out yet. I mean, I loved him coming out of college, small production, but just the skill set is there. So I'm not mad at that pick at all. Alan Lazard, somebody's got to catch the other 10 touchdowns that Rodgers
But when
throws.
I'm looking at his last 10, I mean, not his last 10, 10 through 15, he got his defense kind of early, but he got a good one. He's going to plug it in each week and he's
Yeah.
done. But everything else is a dart throw, which Dallas Goddard at 14. I mean, if something happens to Zach Ertz, his contract, or they trade him, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
he just got
he
that
has
gold.
standalone. I think he has a little bit of standalone value too. And if Zach Ertz misses
Yeah.
any time, if he misses any time, he slots right into where Ertz went off the board at 4, tight end 4. That's where Goddard would go, if you ask me. And if, like you said, if they don't work something out and they trade him, that's a good keeper.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, I don't understand that one at all.
I mean, I looked at that and I thought the same thing. I mean, I guess maybe he just wanted to have someone on his roster in case Tom Brady doesn't work out. Maybe he had doubts about Tom Brady to begin with. But the thing I hate about Tannehill is like they're a team that wants to run the ball. Like I think when they came and waxed the shit out of Baltimore in the playoffs, I mean Tannehill threw like 10 passes, maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
if Derrick Henry is rolling, Tannehill just hands it off to him. Like, I mean, they'll pepper in some passes, yes, but I don't think he's not going to have high numbers. And the kind of football they're going to play, they're going to be grinding games out because they're just trying to run it all day long.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time on a round 15, but
yeah, true.
I don't understand it. That's the only thing I'm going to say is that if Tom Brady's not working out or you strictly got it for bye week, like just stream it at that point. I mean, Tannehill is nothing more than a spot starter. You're never going to roll him out week to week. Never.
So you leave him on the bench, right? You leave him undrafted. I'm just curious as to right now what quarterbacks are out there for streamability. Dave's boy, Jimmy G, Derek Carr. I
I'll
said
take
has
everybody that I'm looking at until you get to Sam Darnold.
Tyrod. What about Gardner Minshew?
Absolutely.
Him? I mean, they're gonna be down. They're gonna be down a lot. This is gonna be like old school Blake Bortles when he was just saying,
Right.
"Hey, I don't give a shit." Teddy
He'd
Bridgewater.
He'd have 2 points going into the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden he's got a 30-point game.
Yeah, dude. Teddy Bridgewater too. I mean, he could be somebody I think that potentially gets rostered up.
I'm taking everybody on that list. Everybody on that list until you get down to Darnold over him. If I need a spot start, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's round 15. I'm not gonna beat him up too much for like I can't freaking believe he took Tannehill, but I mean I can't believe he took Le'Veon Bell. No, somebody.
Yeah. So all right. So what's that grade? What's that grade?
Give him a B minus.
B minus.
I struggle with the B minus just because I hate rounds 3 and 4, but I do like the way he bounced back, in my opinion. If I were doing it with Woods, Hurst is good value. DK getting him late. I think his quarterback sucks.
I mean, so looking at his starting lineup right now, he's not even starting Le'Veon Bell, which I think is a great decision. So he's going with Dalvin Cook, Melvin Gordon, and then Hopkins,
Yeah.
Woods, Metcalf. I mean, he has.
I guess that's one reason that one thing I was overlooking when I was upset about the Le'Veon, that it wasn't his RB2. It was his flex play. That makes it a little bit more,
Yeah.
I
mean, a lot of it's going to hinge on Tom Brady's play.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, Hopkins, Woods, Dalvin Cook, Melvin Gordon, question mark. Hayden Hurst, DK Metcalf. I mean, that's not a bad looking roster to start.
No.
He's got Jordan Howard if for some reason that works out. Anthony Miller. I mean, I've been hearing for 2 years, 3 years how good he is.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it yet, unfortunately, and you might not with their current quarterback situation. So.
Yeah, I will, just to speak on that, if Foles takes that job, in Philly when he had his success, if I recall correctly, he was a tight end slot receiver is where he preferred going. So that's where Anthony Miller might get a little tick up. And Allen Robinson, who I'm assuming they move A-Rob all around though.
Yeah. And is Jimmy Graham's in Chicago now, isn't he?
I think every tight end is in Chicago. Jimmy Graham's there, and apparently he's been having a great camp.
Yeah. That's coach speak. All right, sweet. Well, I mean, that pretty much wraps it up. It's not bad. A B minus. Actually, I like a B minus for this.
I thought I was going to be a little harder on him just because I was so against rounds 3 and 4, but I don't think it's that bad.
Seeing it in the draft results order where it's Gordon, Le'Veon Bell is worse than seeing it as his actual roster with a starting lineup. The fact that Le'Veon Bell's not cutting into that starting lineup, I mean, he's a guy that's going to have volume. I guess you could maybe hope he still has a potential, but their offense just hasn't taken that step for him to really not have stacked boxes all day long. So he just can't do shit.
Nobody there on the outside other than the guy we spoke about a little bit ago, Crowder.
Yeah.
But no, I think he did fine. I would look to me personally, I would find out. I would have Brady go out and play against the Saints and tear it up and package Brady and Bell for a different quarterback or something.
Well, everyone's going to listen to this, and then nobody's going to fucking take Le'Veon Bell, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Is everything in fantasy.
Yeah. There's always the luck aspect. So, Old Man Rivers projected to win by 2 points. Let's see what happens. Fuck that.
I can't wait for after week 1. You know that like 85% of the people we threw shade at are going to blow up.
I'll blast them right back in her face. Sweet. Yeah, so I'll do that. And outside, I think we're good. So I'm at least going to end this portion of it. But appreciate everybody listening and the feedback that anybody gave, just because it's fun to do.
It is.
Appreciate it. Thanks. And I'm ending it.